We're live. Good night, Belize, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belize Affairs Show number 34 for Friday, 1st of September 2023. We're glad to have this opportunity to come back again and hopefully provide some additional input or knowledge or whatever is it that we're trying to put on the table. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the hosts in the program. I'll be the chairman for tonight. And we have our three other panelists available tonight as well. And so I'll just turn it over to Greg for identification.
Good night to the Belizean public at home and abroad. And this is our 34th edition of Belizean Affair. I am thankful to be sitting virtually along with my other co-hosts, Miss Sharon Pitts, attorney at law, Mr. Roody Wade, and my good cousin, Mr. Leonard Brackett. Hopefully tonight, again, we will touch you with some educational basis about Belizean affair. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for being a part of our program tonight again. Ms. Sharon Pitts, would you
Good
identify
night,
yourself?
all. Belizeans at home and abroad, and friends and those who support Belize. I am gracious to be here once more, and I feel that it is, although we all have other things we could be doing, there's a time when you have to really line up your priorities, or put it this way, your priorities have a way of lining up themselves for you. And it must be that we know what is important for ourselves and our country and our heritage. And I think this is prime time in a sense of, remember I was saying self-denial, so even that these gentlemen, Mr. Roody Wade, Mr. Gregory Brackett, and of course Mr. Leonard Brackett could focus and provide this link and this ability for us to share the discourse on matters so important for Belize and the rest of humanity. I think that there's nothing more important that we could do. So I feel privileged to listen, learn, and share my perspective at the same time. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you very much, Sharon, for being here to help support and help provide input to the success of the program. Uh, I'll ask Mr. Wade to identify, and then thereafter identifying to please proceed with the scripture reading for tonight for us, as well as a prayer. Mr. Wade.
Pleasant good night, pleasant good night to our viewers and listeners both at home and abroad. Again, it's a pleasure, an honor to be amongst the company of these distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Um, as always, we try to start our show with a reading, and we'll jump right into it. And I'll continue on Proverbs 14, 1 to 10. Says, the wisest of women builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. Whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is devious in his own ways despises him. By the mouth of the fool comes a rod for his back, but the lips of the wise will preserve them.
Mm.
Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops comes by the strength of the ox. A faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lie. A
Mm.
scoffer seeks wisdom in vain, but knowledge is easy for a man to understand. Leave the presence of a fool, for There you do not meet words of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to discern his ways, but the folly of fools is deceiving. Fools mock at the guilt offerings, but the upright enjoys acceptance. The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger hates its joy. That's my reading from Proverbs. And I'll you know proceed with a prayer as usual. For us and for the nation. Lord God Almighty, we ask for your blessing. Please guide us and protect us. Give
Amen.
us wisdom, understanding, courage, and a will to speak truth, and
Amen.
continues to be the voice of the law of the voiceless. Fear not. Bless our country, Belize,
Amen.
and see Belize through this hurricane season. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, amen. Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Thank, thank you, Mr. Wade, for the reading as well as such a wonderful prayer, supplication on behalf of our people at home and abroad, and as well for the rest of humanity and the hurricane season as well. Uh, Tonight we come to this program, being Friday, to deal with some constitutional related issues as per the Constitution of Belize, and erroneous or inaccurate or inappropriate statements being made by individuals who have been vested with the opportunity to participate in an education campaign to inform the general public as to what the Constitution of Belize is, so they can then decide on the basis of the knowledge that they acquire or and that they have, to be informed enough to be able to decide whether or not the present Constitution, after learning enough about it, should be should have any changes done to it in order to meet the present needs, or if it needs to remain as is, as compared to why the present government and past government have not been able to give us better governance. Is it then the fault of the Constitution why they are not able to provide us with proper governance, or more enhanced or better governance than they have given us so far? Or is it the problem with the people who constitute our governance structure, that they choose then to abrogate, dishonor, and attempt to eviscerate the very Constitution to which they have sworn allegiance and refuse to hold fidelity? So I will start off the program by reading a particular writing that I put out before. There was a statement made that said that education is not a constitutional right in
Yes.
Belize.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the person making this statement, that made this statement, is one of the senior persons participating in this exercise to educate the people about our Constitution. Because as they know and have been saying, and we all knew and do know that 98% of our population is illiterate when it comes to our constitution. They have no knowledge of what it contains. They have, well, most of them don't have the ability to get a constitution. And if they were to get it and read it, it's very unlikely that they would be able to understand how to parse the words in the constitution and compare it with case laws. And why is it then that some of the things that the present government and past government have been doing are wrong? Because we have attorneys at law, some of them very senior, and I would say some of them that are actually scholars in constitutional matters, have been very successful when they go to court arguing constitutional matters, but for whatever reason, they're not present in the educational campaign on behalf of the public, so that the public could derive some benefit from their constitutional knowledge, and for the public to gain the strength and fortitude that is required so that they can protect their constitution and their country. So these people being trusted with the opportunity to go out and do the education campaign are making mistakes, making misstatements, I would say maybe errors of judgment rather than errors of knowledge, because I don't think that they would know what they're supposed to know and turn around and misguide people or teach people the wrong thing. So I'm tempted to believe maybe they just don't really know what we think that they're supposed to know. Otherwise, they wouldn't make these erroneous statements, some of which are very egregious at that. So the least some of these people could do before opening up their mouth and speaking to some of these particular issues or points, as a minimum, read the material that is relevant to that particular statement that they are about to make or that they would like to make, so that we don't have to be pointing out to them the errors of their way when they make a misstatement, because then it's not that they wouldn't know, but at least it would come off as them presenting what they know are the facts. For right now, I want to go ahead and read this thing again, like I said, because it's critical and very important. On the 29th of August 2023, at the People's Constitution Commission's Education Campaign Conference or presentation, the Belize District Teachers Union at Palote High School in Belize City, Ms. Ruth Schumann, President of the Belize National Teachers Union, BNTU, said, while giving an interview to a Channel 5 reporter, she said, education does not appear as a right in the Constitution of Belize. Where she got that idea, how she decided to formulate that thought and make that expression, baffles me. How would she make such a declaration, not checking the facts before? Was that just a gratuitous statement she uttered? Was she not informed adequately? Did she not do her homework? Or does she think that because she's empowered with the authority to participate at that high level in the education process, that everything comes out of her mouth, especially being the president of the teachers union at that? Everything comes out of her mouth should be accepted as being correct, genuine, bona fide, and constitutionally correct at that. Why would she dare to make a statement saying that education is not a constitutional right in Belize? When she's involved with a constitutional project to inform the Belizean people of what the Constitution says. Why miseducate the people or misinform the people? Why say to the people things that the Constitution does not agree with? While you're supposed to be out there teaching them and getting them ready to make an informed decision on what the Constitution should say or not say or what it should be. Keep your mouth shut on subjects that you're not competent and or having done homework on. The least you could do is some homework. All teachers give homework to their students. Why shouldn't the teachers do some homework before they open up their mouth and talk? Ms. Ruth Schumann, president of the Belize National Teachers Union BNTU, said, while giving an interview to a Channel 5 reporter, she said, education does not appear as a right in the Constitution of Belize. So I titled the item in my response to that outlandish statement, I titled it, Education Not a Right in Belize? Question. And I went on to open up the Constitution of Belize, citation, and I went first to the preamble, which is only about 2 or 3 pages, depending on what version you're reading, whether it's a hardcover or electronic version. Probably 2 to 4 pages at the most. In the preamble, under item 1A, paragraph B of the preamble, it goes on to say, among other things, equal protection shall be given to children regardless of their social status, and that a just system should be ensured to provide for education. I slow down on that one word because it is in the Constitution. So even the word education is in the Constitution, but it is how it is in the Constitution is what these teachers need to be aware of, and anybody else that is being taught about the Constitution of Belize needs to be aware of. The preamble, paragraph B, among other things, states, I left out some of the other things, by the way, because I didn't want to read all the whole paragraph in order to get to the point. I just wanted to read the part that specifically addresses the point of contention. So among other things, paragraph B says, equal protection shall, it didn't say may or should, shall be given to children regardless of their social status, and that a just system should be ensured to provide for education and health on the basis of equality. What you're supposed to provide? Education. It's a mandamus in the preamble that the Constitution of the country should stipulate and guarantee every child, besides other things, as well as education. Okay? Number 1B, I went on to read in paragraph E, which says, requires policy of state. Requires policy of state, which protects the right of the individual to life, liberty, and basic education. I have to read it like if slow in my head or in my mind, so they could get it, and I hope they do get it. Right? It is in the Constitution about the rights to education, and any government that does not comply with those mandamus in the preamble from the people of Belize is in violation of what the preamble expects and mandates. Policies, remember now, it says require. It's not an option that the government could decide whether they want to or not, or if they could come up with the money, they may or may not. The policies of state require the policies of state which protect the right of the individual to life, liberty, basic education, in addition to other things. I did not went on to spell out the other things then, because all we're talking about here right now is just education. It's not in the Constitution, is what's been said. And there's no reason for anybody to spend any time being interested in it being in the Constitution, because as far as what they're assuming or pretending to say is that maybe it should be in the Constitution, and maybe the teachers then have to come and cooperate with the government to change the Constitution so they can put it in the Constitution. That is part of the farce and the shell game that they're playing with uninformed, ill-informed, and probably not informed people. When in fact, they themselves who are pretending to play this shell game, I'm quite sure, may be as informed as they should make other people be informed. They should not be pulling back and deciding that they're not going to teach the people what the people need to learn and know before they go and give them surveys to answer surveys based on the things that they're telling them, which does not square with the Constitution. So education is in the Constitution. Item number C, paragraph. Oh, okay. I'm looking at the timing. I messed up with my timing. Okay. Item number C, paragraph F of the preamble, the document that mandates how the government is supposed to operate according to the wishes of the people. Of course, it's the people that elect the government, right? But to operate on behalf of the people. They don't get elected for them to run off with the powers of governance to go do their own shenanigans like the current government is doing. Paragraph F, desire, referring back to the same, we the Belizean people, desire that their society shall reflect and enjoy the above-mentioned principles, beliefs, and needs, that their constitution should therefore enshrine. Okay? Remember what we talked about education just now? It's not only in the Constitution, but it should be enshrined and is enshrined in the Constitution, and make provisions for ensuring the achievement of the same mandates. Citation from the Constitution. Some people will say, okay, well, the preamble is not part of the Constitution. I've heard a lot of so-called elitist people who should know the difference between their elbow and their knuckle, or their elbow and their knee, but apparently don't, and pretend otherwise. I cite section 11, subsection 5, and paragraph C of subsection 5. For the purpose of regulating education, educational institutions. What are educational institutions? Is it not for education? Whether it be government and private, or whether it be private, or whether it be government alone. Educational institution is to educate. So it's telling us that the rights of the children to education, and for the government who is supposed to provide educational institutions. It says, for the purpose of regulating educational institutions in the interest of the persons who receive or may receive instructions in the same institutions. And there are others. But because our program is short, we have to limit what we are talking about and how much reference we can quote. And therefore, I'd like to yield the floor, as far as that point is concerned, to Mr. Gregory Brackett.
At this time, I would like to yield the floor to Miss Sharon Pitts.
Okay. Good night. It seems to me that Mr. Brackett, Mr. Leonard, you said something, you made a comment in the past that with respect to this process, this semi-demi when they go through, right, with a constitution. I don't remember exactly what you said, but words to the effect that dog gonna eat with supper. Well, you know, when you hear of the child or the student who goes to school, never do your homework because they may play hopscotch or something, and the teacher asks for him to submit it.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse, well, I'm gonna write it, but the dog eat the paper where you write pan. We have a situation where it is easy for anybody to read the Constitution, but in my view, it all belies the disquiet, the distrust, and in my view, what they're trying to do is to herd people together and try widen it now to show, oh, even students would be involved. And then the teachers will not know or understand or want to know. In this mad rush, this indecent haste, will be the ones like the propaganda machinery. And you know, like when you're in a class and you don't want to say nothing because you don't want to know, you never read or you never whatever. So that there will be like a quiet and a silence, and the attention span too of the people who are there. It seems not such that you notice the methodology wrong. Yeah, people are being asked to sign ahead of time and just want to get their survey so they could put them together and say, see, we had a wide span of consultation. But consultation not real because it's not meaningful. The one or two, I didn't even know it was consultation. They were saying an explanation before exploratory meeting. And when you went there, the way the time was, notice we take a couple hours and we can barely get through certain matters and we keep revisiting, right? And I think it's because we have the humility to admit that these matters are important. It takes responsibility, and you can't be going through the motion. I've been saying that there'll be a kaleidoscope of confusion. So what you do, even if you turn that kaleidoscope and you focus, what else you have? We have an existential threat going on with ICJ externally. We should be protecting our constitution, which protects our country, our people, our territory, and our sovereignty at this time. This is a time to be doubling down. Even when we say strengthen the constitution in the sense that not be like the dratted eagle picnic when I pull one thread, because when you pull one thread, something else is affected. So when I say that they're experimenting with the constitution, I am not being trivial. I'm being very, very serious in saying that this experiment should not be taking place. And I call it out. The other thing with respect to the what Mr. Brackett said just now, you notice that he has taken the time to mention what the Constitution has. It's our foundation stone. It's our ethos as a people. It's where we surrender our individual will and rights to the collective will of the people. Public trust doctrine. And
Mhm.
with respect to the provisions Mr. Brackett mentioned to the Constitution, isn't it saying over and over, we believe, we require policies of state, and then it says should. These are the very fundamentals that a court and a people should look to. That the Constitution is, you breathe life into it. And if they're saying the preamble not important, we not have legs, we not have hands, we not have feet, we not have one body, God given. But what it is if we don't have the breath and the air to get up every day and move? Aren't we dead? Isn't that what it amounts to? So, and then with respect to our policies of state, haven't we had entrenched, especially when we had a high literacy rate? We have compulsory education, and right further in the Constitution, you will see where you cross reference with respect to protection of rights to personal liberty, and a person, Section 5, shall not be deprived of his personal liberty, save and except as may be authorized by law in any of the following cases. And I'm stressing from what Mr. Brackett said, the paragraph F under that says, under the order of a court or with the consent of his parent or guardian,
Mhm.
for his education or welfare during any period ending not later than the date when he attains the age of 18 years. Till 18, isn't the Constitution saying till you
Mhm.
turn one adult? The court, which we consider supreme parent, which can always order a parent or take over to say something is in the paramount interest of a child. So the court or the parent or guardian can, it say with the consent of the court, or the guardian. So it's not saying with the consent of the child. So when you reach your
Mhm.
adulthood, till you reach adulthood, this is not picnic, they play hopscotch. This is that the parent who has the good sense and the judgment or is inferred by the Constitution to have that, and if not the parent, then the court can enforce this. The
Mhm.
Constitution not only contemplates, it provides. So you see where the Constitution now goes further. And then the breath, the spirit of the Constitution, what holds it, what lifts it, what gives it buoyancy, apart from the concrete enunciated provisions where you have the section fundamental rights and freedoms. They might be trying to say, well, then you enunciate that again in the fundamental right and freedom. But guess what? Well, you don't have to guess. It doesn't take away from. But you know what? The policies of state, which would say policies of state in a government put in its mouth, or it's when they say bringing what you call anything? Aye, casino, money going to education and sports. So the government with the policies of state can say we will take those tax money and get back to what? Didn't we have $300 for every child in high school?
Mhm.
Should we be moving to government and taxpayers paying money, the policies of state
Mhm.
for the education at high school level, the tuition? So we get back then to the mandates of the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution.
Right.
It requires, and then you see the word
Policies of state.
ensures is used certain times. Exception is used, that deprivation of personal liberty, save and except as may be authorized in law in any of the following cases. And the law, the Constitution authorizes subsidiary acts of government or even a ministerial order to be able to say, Parliament, or a minister on a delegated legislation can
Mhm.
say, education minister could say,
Mhm.
education for high school and government beyond this church school system where there's a subsidy and so on and a payment for teachers, government can say, you know what? I will show how this plays out in real life. There's a notion there that 45% of students have not returned to school since COVID. Shouldn't it be then that government and both sides of the house should be bold enough to say, you know what? We need something to get those children back in school. So across the board, no ifs, no buts, no political shenanigans, no qualifying, no keeping any off. Each child should be assured you can get back into school. Shouldn't it be to that when it comes to health, coming out of COVID, that we should have been assured that if there's one thing COVID should have taught us, food security, and I want to finish with this, right? An African leader was quoted as saying, some man went to his country to invest, and he was saying what he wanted to export. So the leader was reporting back to his people, and it is said he has a lot of wit and intelligence, right? I don't know if then we inherited from to take bad thing make laugh, but even Europe says, laughter the best medicine. But I can't quote him verbatim, but he was saying to his people, well, he told the would-be investor, he said, well, rumor has it that my country has people in it. I haven't bothered to check the rumor. No survey or investigation has been made. But if my country has people, according to rumor it has, and you want to export this, then if the rumor is correct, this should be given to my people. And if when we finish satisfying the needs, not the loss, not the excess or the greed, then whatever we have as surplus, surely we can export. We'll be happy to export. The leader ended by saying, you know what, he didn't hear back from that businessman, that investor, no? So we have education, the teachers who are responsible. You notice I said the methodology was wrong because then they meet people here, there, and everywhere in order for them to try and cut and paste and say, but if there's no meaningful consultation, because you know what? Secret is starting, there's a disquiet, and the people aren't engaged. And what Mr. Greg has said, it will take years. And then I still maintain this is our hurry come up thing, this is a cover Benjamin, and this is our
Mhm.
Hoyo egg. Want to know what the Hoyo egg?
I do.
When you pick it up, you can't put it down and it bring bad luck. But it can bring more than that. They want to pass it to the people. They are going through what you call it, the motions and some trick, some agenda. Every so often, when they bluff and they make them blunder, they expose themselves, right? And the people catch them, right? And then they try back off and pretend. So the whole thing is to try and bluff and say, the Constitution, we need this, we need that. So each person, when they go to each section, they get in something, they hold out one allurement or one treat, right? One bad thing, right? If you say, you know why I said to them picnic when they drugs me describe as cereal. You know, you have that cereal with a lot of colors. Half hour when I was instructed by an elder, come, I had to left my office. We have one crisis. Picnic they always send home from school when their parents never their home. In other words, that Ella, those became her children then. And I get called home. Me never asked if me in the middle of any thing. Come. And my only answer was that they can't know. And I said, how I talk to these children? And I said, look, They can't get $1 bag of milk in at the school, or $1 juice in at the schools a certain way, or one concanter cereal go there, they try one with milk. I said to the children, they were ages 6 to just before high school, right? 3 and 10. I said like this. I said, you know what? You know they bead and coral snake because they look and I see the colorful one, right? I said that thing look good, but you might move towards it. But that thing will bite, only a bite, Yeah, kill, dead, dead, dead. Left that alone. Sometimes,
Okay.
picnic hungry, but you have to be able to tell them. Then I was congratulating one of them the other day. I
Um,
say, I'm proud of you. So thanks, no? So this is our hoyo egg, and this to put up with our leaf fanciness, and then the ruffle thing, you could win something, one trip that key or one hotel or so. And we were being told, well, make sure people know, mention it so that we have one crowd.
okay. Well, thank you very much, Fitz, for elucidating and helping us on those various points. I would like to ask Mr. Rudy Wade if he would entertain some comments on what he has heard so far from myself and Ms. Fitz.
Well, you know, this whole, like we've been saying before, this whole shoot down retreat, want to change the constitution, hurry up, and any which way, as long as they get it done, a certain time, and then the so-called panelists, well, when come back to them with one report, quick one, and then with that report, when they come back with and be one yes, because with all the that brochure, and they put out that these town halls, where you say, would you like to change the governor general to president, and then then give one pencil, right? That I don't think the red flag, red flag. But that's just to show you, right? Show the Belizean people, you know, how they are being, I'll use your word, Leonard, bamboozled, right? And who are these people reaching? What portion of society are these people reaching with their so-called education, right? A lot of people are turned off, or I myself, Belizean, right? Want to be informed, yes, but the way they are doing it, really turned me off, right? So maybe I can't say that only me. I know at least 60% of Belizean right now are turned off already, right? The way these people are going, and stop there, they they come publicly afterwards. Like I listened to this man here, Darrell Bradley, right? I mean, he do what he got to do, and he believes in what he believes in, and that's his God-given right, and to say what he want to say. But he must be careful what he's saying, right? And how he's saying it, because then, he's talking about our constitution. They talk about Darrell Bradley constitution or John Briseno and the PUP constitution. I mean, I take all these things offensive, right? Very offensive, right? Um, they are tricking the Belizean people in every which way. Then they hurry up, right? And pretty soon, what Belizean people will say, that they will sit in the House of Representatives, and then they will pass what they want to pass because of that super majority, and then that because the consultation finish, and then consultation is a yes for them, right? And where does that left the poor regular Belizean, right? Then get it again, right? Huh? I mean, you know, this thing is very serious, you know, right? Very serious, because I take it serious because I will have to live. I mean, I don't have to live here. What I'm saying, I choose to live here, and I will have to live with what they pass and the laws they pass. And they want to turn Belize into a republic. I will have to live with that, right? And they want to change our constitution. I got to live with that. So here we are. Like I said, guys, you know, I like this because we're showing all these little curves and little trickery that these people are doing to us. We are bringing it out, right? I have no ill feelings to any one of those presenters, whether it be Daryl Bradley or and you watch, or Mr. Young, and you watch the people that surround these events. Known elites, known people, at least to me, they are known. Their agenda is not an agenda for the poor and less fortunate a nation, in my view, right? Now I say this. What are these people's agenda? They are carrying the agenda of Briseño's agenda and the People's United Party agenda. Because when I say that they will pass a law that Belize become a republic, no more governor general, they're already talking about new identity, people. You hear a couple of ministers, they call them, you know, I don't call these people honorable, you know, that's me. You could do whatever you could call them, God, king, queen. You know, that's your prerogative. I don't call these people honorable because in my view, they are not. Now you hear all these things coming out, new agenda, new identity, right? What kind of new identity does Belizean want? But he utters that minister utters that. But anyway, this whole thing is very bad for Belize. Very bad for Belize. And shame on the ones that support it, right? Because in the end, it will not be good for our little country. Say no more. Pass it back on to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your presentation, sir, and your contribution on the points that we're discussing tonight. I'd like to ask that Gregory takes it on from here, if you don't mind.
I thank you all for your contribution, but I want to take it a little deeper than that, because here we find attorneys who are a part of educating the public about their fundamental rights. We have these attorneys and we have the bar system, but I have seen none of them before now standing up on the draconian gun law, standing up on the enterprise law, and likewise judges. There is nobody who have stand out there that are educated enough in the legal position to say, you know what, we need to get together to save our constitution. Likewise, we have a government who has third party at home and abroad trying to teach the fundamental rights of the Belizean constitution when they themselves need some teaching. The present government, with all due respect, needs teaching about the Constitution. You violated our Constitution right bringing in a terrorist, you are violating our constitutional right and the secretive agreement in violation of the Freedom of Information Act.
Mhm.
And you as government is trying to use executive power to pass through legislation in definitive agreement. We the people know these things, but yet you want to teach us about our fundamental rights. And let me say this, if you follow the narrative, it's not hard to see what is happening.
They are the gross
Because,
violators of our constitution. They're gross
right,
violators.
Mhm.
let me say this, right? We had a, a, a minister of education and we have a new curriculum. Why did they not enter the constitution in the curriculum? We have them
Long
teaching
overdue.
about black history. They took away world history and are teaching about Belizean history. But some of the main things that has to do with Belizean history is missing. And
Deliberately.
I see it as an attack when Miss Schumann said what she said. Because you know what happened? From there going around to some of these meetings, the people were saying, also on social media, they should teach it in the school. So now here we come. All of a sudden, the push jump out of the bag and they will use the teachers to teach it to high school students. No, you should not be doing that now. You should have had that in the new curriculum. Because you know what? There's teachers out there who don't even know the new curriculum.
Mhm.
Period. So these are some of the things that I find very interesting in the way the government is trying to use this PCC to educate the public. I would think that, firstly, educate yourself on the Constitution in the areas where you are violating the fundamental rights of the people. And you have been doing that.
True on that.
And there's more to it than that. You know, I want to say this to the public at home and abroad because we have something called Black Lives Matter in the United States. I want to let them know our Constitution do matters because that is what protects us. And it has been protecting us from 1981 to present. And as perceived by the drafters, it cannot do what? Be written out of existence. I would have sided with our present government or the past if they were coming to us trying to educate us and strengthening our constitution. I would have sided with the present government if they would have come to us in the teaching and say, you know what, we are tired of hearing about the Belizean people asking us to fully implement UNCAP. We are not hearing nothing of the important things that we want them to do. We are not seeing them trying to do it. So then, with that said, I believe that the agenda of this government presently is not to go to another general election. Per se, this is the reason why they are so bent and trying to educate the public when they themselves need educating. And I want to remind them that when a young man or a citizen of this country commits a crime and he is charged and sentenced and pays his dues to society by our constitution, he should still have equal protection by the law when he is back in the public. And I'm saying this to say stop ill treat our people in violation of the Constitution when it comes to their fundamental right. With that said, I would like to hear your input on that, Ms. Pitts.
It seems to me that one of the things you touch on, and this sleight of hand approach that they're using or trying to trick the people into, is ironically, we are saying strengthen the Constitution, because what we are saying, and I wrote down what you said about us having to protect and save our Constitution. Did I get that right? Because what we have is that, and I will say it over and over, we have one existential threat. We have one ICJ horse, what we don't know how will they go, who the rider, and where you going. We know it's as bad as it could get because the politicians got the people to go in a referendum. They used the people and heard them. If they say carry this thing to ICJ with an open question, right? Now, at a time when you have that they happen, they want to have this attack, assault, experiment with the Constitution. We should have battened down with it. We should have said, you know what, we have rule of law. We have constitutional democracy. We have one parliamentary system. What it look like is that then they try strip the Constitution so that they go closer and closer to their regime when they have rule of law, and when they rule by decree and police state and isms and schisms when they come in. The thing is that even when we are saying, you listen carefully, right? I want to warn people, right? You know, some nice when they say we need one new identity. If you listen, you'll say, man, that mean, well, get rid of the old time head of state system. One new identity is so good. Guess what? I will tell you this. I warn people carefully. If you do not believe me, you want years. Believe one is sucked with sorrows. Because with this ICJ matter right now, right as we stand, you know what will be central in determination? One Belizean identity. But then they try trick their way, then they talk one hep thing, oh, you want your own identity, like that style you're going in, go get one new haircut, or the rip up jeans or something, or you have it sounds like a trend, it sounds like something good. Remember I say allurements and it gets sweets. Words that sound good, the velvet glove
We,
over the iron fist. But
we
right now,
we need one Central American identity. That's what they're trying to
so
tell us, but they don't want to tell us exactly.
So we have a Belizean identity, right? Of various ethnic groups tightly interwoven into a Belizean identity, right? We have it, right? We have it already. But they want to tell you, you need one new identity. Then they are song hep. Oh, you know what? Get rid of this, get rid of that aspect, right? And forge whatever they call it, was song good, but you know what? They are stripping away, then the raid, then the assault, and it's a indecent assault provoked by some agenda is not of Belize, which is not for the people of Belize.
Or in
But they
the
just want to hurt the people. They say, you know what? When they get you for drink that Kool-Aid, they want to sweeten it, just one spoonful of sugar and the medicine go down. And if you want honey, they give you. And if you want lime, they want give you. And can't buy it for dollar the market, they want give you. It's a kill or cure. You know when a bush doctor used to say, or them people kill or cure with medicine, right? That is what they're doing. And it's a wrongful experiment because they're going against the Constitution in a time like this. You know, somebody who said, you know what, they were saying at Constitution time, we want a British Westminster style constitution within the British Commonwealth with
That is
rule of
correct.
law and a defense guarantee for the next 100 years. That's from 1981. You see, when you gentlemen who are lay people, right? In a sense, and you never underestimate people because you think somebody, we need people with swim knowledge right now, you know. The man where you think not got certain whatever, have navigational swimmer. When you're in a then treacherous water, you need to know how to swim. So what they're trying to do is to get us in a way that instead of holding on and being secure, then they run along with two agenda, and it's not of Belize, it's not for Belizeans, right? And the risk are at the level of existential threat. And I will just borrow a little from my environmental law program. It was that when the risk might seem or then minimalize it, but if it were that those risks would really happen, the best action is the no alternative action. You know what? We have some diplomatic minefield we're going into. The traps have been set. We have people who, I don't want to say anything more. All I could say right now, Belizeans, you're being warned. You're being forewarned. And the patterns occur over and over. The same thing, remember they were telling you
uh,
ends of
yeah,
agreement 1981. It didn't
Sharon,
exist. It was good. They
Have the
never
mic there,
understand.
Greg.
Sorry.
Sharon,
Yes, sir.
I just want to play something here. Um, as part of our presentation in the earlier part of the program, we alluded to and or we made comments about things that other people said to which we attributed certain derogation. Okay. We just want, of course, what I'm about to play is all news to those who are watching news every night. But the information is not all. It's current and futuristic. We're dealing with it currently. We're going to be dealing with it yet to come. We don't know how long more in the future. But when we have people like these that are making these kind of statements, just as you said just now, we need to be forewarned. I'll go ahead and play it.
Close to 2,000 teachers from across Belize District gathered inside the auditorium at St. Catherine's Academy today. It resembled a scene from a Belize National Teachers Union convention. That is because they were assembled for a Teachers Constitution Education Forum hosted by the People's Constitution Commission.
This is not only historic, but it is critical that we do exercises like this.
This is Ms. Yuma.
A constitution is a living document. Generations change. We have developed so many gaps along the way, and we don't talk enough about our constitution. This is something that guides us every day from the moment we're born in this country. The constitution is what guides us and dictates what we're to do and not to do. But yet we don't open the book to know what it is that really guides us.
Ruth Showman, the president of the Belize National Teachers Union, raised the fact that education does not appear as a right in the Constitution of Belize. She further noted that while most teachers take monies out of their own pockets on an annual basis to prepare classrooms, some countries allocate a percentage of their national budget to these types of expenses.
There are countries, for example, who in their national budget allocate a percentage of their budget to certain schools, certain national universities, and so those universities are well funded, and you will not find that the issues our teachers are facing in Belize today, those teachers would be facing. So this is very important that our teachers understand that addressing the constitution directly impacts their finances, how the wallet or the purse will look. And being able to connect that is part of the process of education.
And during today's education forum, an announcement was made that the People's Constitution Commission will be spearheading national high school debates on the Constitution of Belize. Anthony Chanona, the chairman of the People's Constitution Commission, gave us the details.
The Belize National Teachers Union is an important stakeholder, simply because they interact with over 100,000 of our young people, students. You know, the statistics show that 62% of our population is 25 years and younger. So that truly is the present and the future. And because we're heading into September and beyond, we're trying to partner with the Ministry of Education to ensure that the teachers have a greater knowledge, more informed knowledge on the Constitution. In turn, they can participate in activities in the schools, in the respective schools. One of the things that we will be doing, the Minister will announce this, is we will be having high school national debates across the country where the young people will be given questions on the Constitution to be resolved as a way to create awareness. Because if we do nothing else in this process, we would hope, the Commission hopes, that its legacy is not ended with the fact of having
because you can cut that right there. You can cut that right there.
Greg, it's for public consumption. There are people who listen to our program that was not privy to this. Just a minute.
Checks and
it's not
balances that are
long
in
more.
the Constitution. For example,
Listen to this one.
the electoral process, the Public Service Commission, the independent constitutional commissions like the Elections and Boundaries Commission and so forth. And we have to ensure that those bodies are strengthened, because when you have a parliamentary system, it has positives, but it also has negatives. The positives is that it creates a very decisive and a government that can act very quickly. The presidential system is more bifurcated, and it's more fragmented and promotes more consensus. You can't pass law without consensus. That itself also has challenges. But when we deal with a parliamentary system, we have to be conscious in making sure the Constitution is designed in such a way that they...
And that last gentleman speaking there was Bradley. And what he was saying was just the opposite. He was arguing with himself and saying just the opposite of what he needed to say.
Let me respond to this, please.
Go ahead.
Why
And then it
is
was only 30 seconds after.
right?
Greg, go ahead.
Why? Let me say this real quick. Why is it not in the curriculum? 2, the narrative they are sending is this, and Ms. Spitz know it. They are not getting the populace out to these meetings. You heard his words, thousands of students. So now you are going after the students to say, oh, it's open. This is where they're trying to say, you know what? We're meeting
the students,
thousands.
You know? They're going to give them surveys.
Right. But if you're listening to what I'm saying, right? Listen to what I'm saying. You are doing this. Not in the curriculum. You are giving students a survey. Now, which brings me back to this. If you say we don't have a right to vote, why give the survey to students who cannot vote? Does that make sense? Come on. It's not ringing a bell.
These people are playing
Secondly,
their
Ms.
game.
Pitts, and I want you to say something about this because
Okay.
we know that the PCC in what they're doing have no legal authority to attend to any matters per se. The 20,000 signatures that the government is trying to establish that the PCC will deal with it. That's a non-binding matter. They have no legal authority to address any such matters. And if they do, and you have these people teaching the fundamental rights, why did you violate the Constitution under the 11th Amendment? So now you are saying you can do that. But when it comes to the people with the signatures for a referendum to protect or seize under national security, you are saying the PCC has to take that up. Come on. You're not talking to not educational people, man. Come on.
Still,
We are
still
highly
game.
educated.
It's
Okay?
all a still game. I keep saying
Go
it.
ahead, Mr.
It's
Pitts.
all a still game. Whether we like it or not, that is the reality.
It's an end game for those who are treacherous against Belize, though. And with this ICJ matter. Remember, I said one
Take off your
time,
mic there, Greg.
remember, I
Put
said
your mic
one
there. Yeah,
time,
thank you.
it's like they're,
Sharon,
yes, sir.
take a couple of minutes and
Mhm.
wrap up what you're saying in a couple of minutes, and then let's go back to Mr. Wade now, if you don't mind.
Oh,
Uh,
well, let
whatever
Mr.
is it
Wade
that
go.
you,
No, go ahead,
no, no, no,
Sharon,
no,
because
whatever, no,
Gregory
no, we
wants
have
you.
the
Remember, I
time.
was saying that,
Just
you
want you
know,
to
they
complete your
talk
thought.
about this one, they play checkers and international and they play chess. Look how
Uh-huh.
they picnic they come in now. These trivializing people. So I've said, then they play hopscotch, then they dance wrong, then they move wrong. The picnic game, then they play with Fui Constitution.
Hmm.
And they're dead serious about what they're doing. It's an end game. Then they play checkers, they move. But with respect to the disquiet, I take it as a snake and ladders. And I say that lightly. And then internationally on the diplomatic front, there's a international chess game going on that for we people no understand, no and know about. And one of these days, God, by the grace of God, right, we'll be spared. But you have to understand what's going on. And I want to repeat one thing, no? When I listened to one of the persons there just now, you know what came to my mind intuitively? I am hearing little things which parliamentary system, and as though that is to be adjusted
Deficient.
a third way, as though
It's
it
deficient.
keeps things from happening, as though it's
Okay,
deficient. And
okay,
what then creeps into my mind, not presidential system, but you know,
okay.
around us in Central America, we never have free rule of
I
law.
would never have
And
expected that from Mr. Darrell
federal
Bradley.
system with the constitution at the least source. You know where then despots and tyrants and regimes run by? Decrees. They rule by decree. Rule by decree, I know a nice phrase in that sense, you know. It means that you get up one day, somebody push aside the constitution, or Mr. Whoever you think pass one decree. It's insidious, you know. And I want to say this, the constitution not sick, you know. If a politician sick or ill, and they're lacking in whatever to carry out
Evil.
and uphold
One
policies of
word.
state.
Sharon, one word. Evil. They're not just sick, but they've gone far beyond being sick.
The people who have
Evil.
given them the mandate, whether they're in the opposition or the supposition side of the house, right? I've said they are taking this big sick to break the back of the people. And with respect to the government, they know they have the 3/4 to change the constitution. But at
30
the
seconds,
sleight of
30
hand,
seconds
they
more,
want to be able to say that
Sharon.
the people and the opposition, I'm disappointed because they could worry about when it comes to that part, but you can't vote if you may get convicted abroad. What about the debate? Mr. Greg, you made a mention you have other people who should be in. And when I said debate, I mean, in the sense of not have some puppet shotting where people, oh, you made a debate, so a lot of points come up and it's entertainment. But the serious, sober side of saying, this is what we protect. This is our parliamentary democracy. Egomania say. Egomania say. Remember, I read last week the man said
Sharon,
when
Sharon,
certain things, they blame the Constitution.
Sharon,
Now, not the Constitution sick. We have sick politicians out there.
thank you. Could you yield back to Mr. Wade for a
Yes,
second,
sir.
please?
Sorry,
Thank you.
apologies.
No, no, that's all right. That's all right. No, we're free flowing.
Right.
We're free flowing, yeah? And the ideas and the thoughts are coming in.
I'll give you 30 seconds of my time.
I don't take
I
it.
know you wanted to say something there when it.
No, I'm good.
We are come
I'm
back
good.
to her again.
All right,
We
then.
are come back.
Good.
We are come back. You have
Anyway,
another 5 minutes. You have another
yes.
5 minutes in the next round.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
You know, all this, my people, both at home and abroad, is in a nutshell. In a nutshell, we're putting everything together, and I hope that the listening public and the people out there, you know, they see and they listen to what happened to it in real time, right? And like I'm saying now, and like the other panelists are saying, this is very serious.
Dangerous time.
You see how far then they go as to the high school students, right? And you hear the man, Mr. Chonona, mention numbers, right? That's the amount that they are looking for. You know, they are looking for numbers, right? And then they have specific questions that the student will have to answer to. Not a broad sector of questions, no, specific questions, right? What is that telling you? They want to achieve their agenda in any which way, whoever they got to twist, right? You listen to the president of the Belize Teachers Union. Just listen to that lady, right? I don't know the lady per se. I don't know if she lives in Belize. I don't know where she comes from. I don't know where she was born. I don't know. But, you know, these people are very dangerous, right? In my view, to my country and my constitution, right? I have been living with this constitution from 1981, and I see nothing wrong with it. They need to strengthen it. Like, for instance, I have said it before, elected senators, not appointed, because these are the people that do detriment to our country. These same senators appointed. I want to see elected senators. And simple thing like Inak Unkakman, right? These guys are playing with some serious games. They passed the other day.
Mr. Wade, can I interject on your thought process, sir? I hope you don't lose your thought. You mentioned just now about elected senators. Do you know that on that one point alone, how strong your conviction and the interest and well-being of we country is based? You have people who are appointed senators and then are turned around and used in cabinet as ministers. Normally, in the correct affairs of our country, it should not be that you have one person appointed senator go and become one minister when you have so many other representatives who are duly elected sitting down in the backbench. So on that point, you know, 100% I'm along with you.
I second you on that. I second you. I call one name out, the foreign minister.
I was going to call that name too.
Go ahead,
right?
sir.
That man has so much portfolio, so much power in this country, and not a voter vote for him. Not one voter. Like you said, Leonard.
The people not trust him. The people not have no confidence in him.
How could that happen?
There's never won an election.
And just imagine if Belize become a republic. Just imagine. Right? The powers this small group of people will have. And like we rightfully says, man, these people got super majority, super majority in the house. Why they don't just use that super majority? They could pass whatever law they want to pass. Who is there to oppose them?
The,
Nobody.
court, the court,
Right?
judicial review.
You understand what I'm saying? So what the way them people play with women, the way them people do to it. And if we know open we eyes yet and we don't see the agenda of these people and the road that they are going down. And I said before, I said, why don't these people now wait for the ICJ ruling, man? Why? Because we don't know what part of Belize, Guatemala will have, right? We don't know. So why are they rushing?
People intend to hold on. We have our mandate to hold on to this whole country. But I'm saying that
Sharon,
going through this process
Sharon,
is.
I just wanted to yield back a couple of minutes to Mr. Wade on his time because a couple of all three of us was jumping in while he was talking, and we kind of short-changed him. So, Mr. Wade, please take another 2 minutes quickly, sir.
Yes, like I say,
so
right?
complete the thoughts.
Look at this whole scenario that these people are painting, man, right? And again, I stay on this point. Look at the peoples that surround this agenda. I know we can't name, but they are publicly to see, right? Look at them. What kind of interest do you think they have in people and country? 90% of these people are about power and greed, money, right? People, my Belizean people, hold these people accountable, right? And I'm gonna heal because I know Miss Spitz will have a little more to say and a new break, so I will yield some time to them, some of my time. Right?
Okay.
Because
so we're gonna go to our 3-minute round robin. We're gonna go to our 3-minute round robin right now to close off. Okay. So and let's see if we can zero in on the specific of the issue at point for tonight, right? The education of our people, talking about the kids being educated, and that should be even before they get any tests. You don't test one person before you get the education on which you're going to get the test. These guys are operating in such arbitrary and capricious and back way. They talk about, Mr. Chanona, they talk about, we are give the kids then things to make them answer. Give the kids them the education first. Give them 1 year or 2 year education, and then you deal with them and ask them questions based on what they're supposed to learn and know then.
Exactly.
But anyhow, quickly, let's start off with Sharon then. Sharon, do you want to go out first? Since you've been waiting for a while.
I just want to say one other thing now.
You got 3 minutes to run, Sharon.
Yes, I'll do so quickly now.
Each of us will have 3 minutes each to close off because that's the end of the show, no?
I keep saying that this thing has to do with egomaniacy on the part of these politicians. And I think on both sides of the house. You don't see some of them, they salivate, they want to see their money pound dollar, they want to get that name president or something. It's not about Belize. One person who was writing about some causes with respect to when the people of feel away, he said sometimes these things not primarily related to the Constitution or policy, but rooted instead, and I'm quoting here, in personal ambition, which has driven human beings from time immemorial.
Amen on that.
Also, policy makers, and I'm repeating this. Remember, I read it twice last week. Policy makers, remember, I said policies of state who are at a loss. They can't figure out, they don't got no idea, no care, no concern for ideas as to how to handle national economic and social problems. Tend to blame who? What? The Constitution for those ills. Mr. Politician, Miss Politician,
Mr. Darrell Bradley, listen.
others out there who are going through this simidime and this motion, the Constitution not sick. Politicians, I think, need to put a moratorium on their madness right now with how they deal with this country. Enroll themselves in the Constitution school. Take lesson in the Constitution for the next 5 years. Then we'll come back again. Because if we sit most of them down and try have a conversation for 5 minutes about the Constitution, they can't do it. They don't want to do it. Whether they're competent or have some other agenda.
It's not part of their interests.
But you know what, people? You notice the teachers will have a press right now for their emoluments or salaries or other thing. Coincidental with they are so valuable. So there's always the allurement. You notice we had that big, what they call it, concert the other day. You notice we're going into with 10th September celebrations and our independence. Sleep with one eye open here. One time when the invaders come for Belize, they may call Christmas Day 2.5 centuries ago here. Sleep with a 2 eye open. Save the Constitution. Save the Constitution. Preserve the Constitution. Preserve Belize on our save on our own rights and protection under the rule of law.
Amen.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
God. Thank you,
Amen
Sharon.
on that. Thank you very much.
Greg, do you want to close off, please? 3 minutes.
Yes, my closing, as I said before, the government of Belize need to change the narrative in the way the PCC is trying to carry out this constitution reform. What I would like to say to the people at home and abroad, do not give this government, do not lend this government a hand to help you destroy your constitution by them asking you to tell them what you want to take out. We should not be taking out nothing of our constitution that has been working since 1981. Tell them we want to strengthen it. We want our constitution to stop being bastardization. We want to tell them that we want to take out politics out of our constitution and let the government work in its separation of powers. Because this is what is happening. And we can see it. We can see this with the present government, who, just as I said, is trying to bar Oceania with all its signatures from getting it registered. We'll talk about the PCC will deal with that. A non-binding commission, a non-binding commission that has no legal authority to speak and what the electors of this country is trying to achieve.
We may end up taking a whole night for subject matter because it's critical. When it comes to referendum and the powers of the authority, especially in referendum, that is the people, the plebiscite's prerogative. That is the reason why the Governor General is put in charge of elections and boundaries and the referenda process, where the ministers or the government have to go and ask for a writ of referendum. It is not left to the government, much less for them to delegate to any commission to decide whether or not we, the people, have the power and the authority to exercise or right to vote or right to referenda and or right to determine our own well-being. That is the people's prerogative. It is not within the hands of the government, and they are behaving as if they have the idea that because we delegate authority to them to be our government, that they could haul and pull us and mistreat us, abuse us any which way. But we'll take that up on a specific program in days to come. And sorry for taking away your time. You got back the next minute and a half. About a minute and a half.
I would like to just finish this closing by saying we also have to let our feelings policeman know that he cannot be violating people's constitutional right. The Constitution gives them the right to protest. Protest is a part of democracy. And if you look around the world, especially in the United States, I don't care what president, what meeting they're having, people has the right to protest in front of any meeting, any presidential action. So please, Mr. Feelings Policeman, keep your feelings out of it. Okay? Because when you would put your policeman there to stop these demonstrations, these demonstrators from passing up to where they're having a summit because they want to make Belize or the Prime Minister look bad, you are just violating the people's constitutional right. So please stop being a police officer or a commissioner of feelings. That is not a part of our system or laws or the democracy.
Well said, sir. Thank you very much for bringing up that point. Very salient and very timely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you, for, hosting us, and very educational. And I want to, give thanks to Ms. Sharon Pitts, attorney at law. I want to thank Gregory and Leonard, for being a part of this very educational program, and I like to say this to my Belizean Americans, right? We need to start to stand up, right? If we love our country, we need to start to stand up and call these people out for who they are, right? And stop, being bamboozled, right? They go over there and they make a lot of promise, right? Just to get what they want. The educational aspect of this Constitution Reform Committee went abroad, and well, I don't know what was their intention, because what can Belizean American could come home and vote, right? I don't think so. I can't to the present system with that, right? So what was that all about, right? Barbados took how many years, Greg? 10 years?
8 years.
8 years. And it's still no, did it the right way they wanted to. 10 years. These fools, what, 18 months they want to revise our constitution? 18 months?
Has no ICJ threat.
I mean, all these things, people open on no eyes, man. What are people in rush for? What in a rush for? Right? Why not, like I say, wait until after the ICJ, man, right? And see what left of Belize, right? And then we could do no shenanigans, right? And it make me went back to see what they did, what the past administration did when they wanted a yes to the ICJ vote, right? The length they went through, right? They got what they wanted. I say this, that the People's United Party, in my view, at the end, will get what they want, right? Because they will find a way to get what they want, right?
Very well said.
And I feel so sad for the poor and less fortunate on this nation, right? At the end of the day, right? Take my word, the worst is yet to come.
Mr.
May
Wade,
God bless Belize.
Mr. Wade, are you
Back to you,
talking about
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you
Mr.
very much
Wade, are
for
you talking about a revolution?
our time is up. Our time is up already. We are 5 minutes beyond our limit, and so we got to close tonight.
Thank you.
All I got to say is, Chairman, tonight, I'm very,
Mr.
very proud and happy to have had the opportunity to sit with you, uh, members of the panel, Mr. Wade, Gregory Brackett, and grateful that this program was made because we touched on a lot of substantive matters, and I hope that the general public derives some positive benefit from it. Thank you very much, and good night, Belizeans.
Mr.
God
Chairman,
bless
before we
always.
go, I
Yeah.
want to firstly say I appoint Ms. Pitts as our lady chairman for Monday night.
All right. If she can make it, I would appreciate.
See
I
how things
second.
go, and then you can
I
say
second
what
that
you want
motion.
to discuss. No? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Good night to you guys.